The apologetics that I try to engage in, and I think all of my colleagues here with Charles Colson and in the Prison Fellowship try to do, is to get over onto the ground or the perspective of an unbelieving person and, walk with that person, wear his moccasins, and look from within at the disconnects. Because if we're in God's world, ultimately, having an unbelieving worldview will not succeed. It will not deliver. It certainly won't deliver at the hour of our greatest need, at death, but it won't deliver in daily life. So there'll be signs and contradictions where you can enter in and say, why this isn't happening is because you're trying to run away from God. I mean, you boil down a 3-week conversation into 5 minutes, that's what you'd try to do. So it's very important for that, to understand where a person's coming from and spend time with them and look at worldviews and find out where we are in the West and in world history, to find out where a lot of people are coming from in their worldviews, in order that we can have these conversations and win them to Christ. Well, worldviews have many levels. The fundamental heart commitments ultimately can only be one of two, either loving God or loving yourself and loving the world. But as you build up from those, there are lots of layers, and so I can love God in a 21st century world where we have advanced healthcare and we have art that is abstract, or that's not a bad thing in itself, as long as it's imposed over a basic heart commitment. And if you want to say that there are some positive aspects to the postmodern mindset, which is a huge question, whatever that is, I would say sure, of course. In some ways, we've been delivered from the harshness and abstractness of modernism. And you can trace that in all kinds of fields. So that there are some ways that the ground is more fertile for Christian apologetics in a postmodern setting than it was in a modern setting where, everything was black and white and science was neutral and so on. Now, having said that, you want to be very careful not to say that all is good in the postmodern worldview, because as we know, there's a lot of relativism in postmodern thought. There's a lot of narcissism. There's a great deal of moral ambiguity and so forth, so that which glorifies, over-glorifies personal choice and options, that's not any more compatible with a Christian worldview than a rigid modernism which has an abstract view of truth.